What's going on, guys? Mr. Giroro here, bringing you guys another great video. Today, guys, you're watching some Call of Duty Ghost gameplay. This is not my gameplay, actually. This is someone else's that I grabbed off of YouTube. Dear random YouTube user, if you find your gameplay on my channel, let me know. I'm more than happy to let you link it. I just don't remember where I found it. It's been sitting on my hard drive for about a month now. So today, guys, it's been a long day. I just got off work early, and sitting around thinking today, listening to some podcasts and stuff. And one of the podcasts I listened to, it was these gentlemen who were debating whether or not esports is a real sport. One of them, agreed that esport was a real sport. The other one was judging off of what the definition of sport and athlete was, making esport not a real sport. Now, if those of you you want to know what the definition of athlete is, I just kind of looked it up shortly. Pretty much a sports person in a profession, a sport person and a person trained to compete in a sport involving physical strength, speed, or endurance. And it says sports people may be professional or amateur. That's the definition of athlete. So you make the decision. To you, is esports a actual sport, or is it what it is, e-sport? Because I personally believe that esports is a sport in the sense that golf's a sport, in the sense that NASCAR is a sport, in the sense that all these things that we talk about is a sport. And this goes back to the definition. The definition of sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. So, to me, that is a skill thing. Esports is a huge skill-based thing. That's why you see a lot of these professional players retire, after, lots, like 6, 7, 8 years of just doing nothing but playing the game. They retire because they're just tired of spending the time to play it, and then that's why you see them start to slack a bit. And I don't mean to throw players beneath the bus, but Optic is one of my favorite teams. Not that I'm an Optic fanboy, I'm pretty much a Parasite fanboy. Any team that Parasite's on, I usually ride pretty hard. But Optic is one of my favorite teams. In the last this year, actually, they've been one of my favorite teams with all the roster changes and everything. And one of the things I had noticed, I had been watching them for a while, is, for instance, Big Timer. Right before Big Timer retired, you could tell he just wasn't on his A game. And it came from, the idea that he wasn't putting in the same amount of hours as everybody else was, as far as competitive gaming-wise. He was kind of looking to see, poking his head out of the rabbit hole and saying, hey, what else is out here? And at first it may not hurt you, it may not hurt you playing. And even people on, the amateur level of competitive gaming, if you're an amateur competitive player, you'll notice if you play for 3 months, 4 months at an end, you will be just on point. Reaction skills great, everything that you're doing is great. But God forbid that you miss a month out of that, or you start taking breaks and playing. You'll notice that these people who have been playing more than you have just an ungodly amount of skill compared to you at that point. And so it's definitely a sport to me. Like I said, in the same sense that golf or, NASCAR, any of those things are a sport, it's a sport to me in that sense. Because you have to put in so much time and dedication to actually making a different improvement on your team and on yourself. If you miss any amount of time, you're just not going to be as good as everybody else. That's just how it is. A lot of times, even in professional sports, let's say a football player practice not 24/7, but a lot out of the day, and all of a sudden, around the end of his career, and the only reason I call it the end of their career is because that's usually when they retire, is when they're just not as good. Around the end of the career, they start, missing practices, not really worrying as much about it, and then boom, that's what you have. You have the downfall of these players. So it's you can see it across everything. So, is esports a real sport? I believe so, and I want to always add the asterisk onto it, in the same sense that golf and NASCAR is a sport. Yes, esports is a sport. Now, some people, a lot of people, I guess, know that. At least I personally feel like The actual competitors in esports, you know, whether who, no matter who it is, I personally don't believe they really care if they're called athletes or not. And I'm kind of in the same respect. They know that they're athletes in their thing, but it's crazy is that in like areas, I think it's Japan, it might be China. It's one of those two places that they they actually look up. It might even be Korea. I'm not sure. They look up to their players as celebrities. So I guess move over sports because esports taking over. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Giroro. Later.